Howdy, howdy. This is Mr. Elmhorst with the help video for the homework on the expression tools of equivalency, otherwise known as the properties of expressions. So the sum of two numbers and the sum of two numbers times the third number is equal to the sum of each of the add-ins times the third number. So what that's saying is you're multiplying through parentheses. So this is going to be equal to AB plus AC. And the property that we distribute a factor is the distributive property. Distributing a factor through the parentheses is one of the things that we can show equivalency in expressions. Number two, no matter which numbers are multiplied, so you have A times B times C is equal to C times B times A. So you can move the parentheses or you can move the terms around as long as it is all multiplication. Then the commutative property shows moving terms but not changing the value. Number three, as long as it is all multiplication or all addition, how you group the terms does not matter. It's still going to show equivalency. And grouping has to do with association. So if you group B and C and then add that to A, or if you add A and B and then add C, that does not change the value of it. It's still going to give you the equivalent expression or equivalent result. And that is the associative property. So -5 plus 5, these are inverses. And when you add inverses, they're going to give you 0. That is the inverse property. How do you cancel something? That's things that we can do in math. Number 5, when you add 0 or you multiply by 1, it does not change the value. For example, 5 plus 0 is still 5, and 5 times 1 is still 5. That is part of the identity property. Multiplying the property by 1 does not change the outcome of it. You can write an equivalent expression, and that does not change the identity of what you started with. So that is our identity property. Aaron earned $75 and then he did not earn any money. No money means 0. So if you have $75 and you add 0 to it, you're still going to get 75. Nothing changed. That is the identity property also. Yeah, 4x plus 3z. We could use the commutative property to flip these around. If you still add them and you don't change anything else, both of these are going to be equivalent expressions. This is adding 4 plus 3. This is changing to multiplication. This is changing to subtraction. So these would not be equivalent expressions. So number 9, you need to distribute 4 times 2x plus 5. We're going to take both of these terms out of the group and put them by themselves in their own parentheses. So they get their own parentheses and they also get their own 4. So what's 4 times 2x is going to give us 8x, and 4 times 5 is going to give us 20. So we had several students had questions on this when we went through it in previous classes. So which two expressions are equivalent? Expressions, not answers. You're not selecting F and G. So you're going to check and see which ones are showing the same thing. Here, you're just adding x. Down here, you're adding x to 8, but then you're also multiplying. Those are not the same thing. Can you switch around division and get the same thing? Is 6 divided by x the same as x divided by 6? No, it is not. So here, you only have 6 times x, but down here, it's 6. Glitched out. Here we have 6 times x, and it's multiplying everything in there, 6 times 3. So these are not going to be equal. And if you look at F, the distributive property says 6 times 9 times 6 and 9 times x, which you have both of those there, and then you're going to add them. Okay, now looking at 11 through 20. So we got 11 times negative 8 minus 32 divided by negative 4. So we need to follow the order of operations here. There are no parentheses with operations, and there are no exponents. So we're going to get straight to multiplying and dividing. So 11 times negative 8 is negative 88. And 32 divided by negative 4 is going to be negative 8. So we're starting with negative 88. And if we subtract 8 negatives, if we take away negatives, we're getting more positive. So negative 88 and 8 positives, you're going to end up with negative 80 for this expression. So number 12, we got Win is buying bottles of apple juice and he wants to calculate how much it costs. So there's 5 bottles times $2.15 each. So we got $2.15 times 5. Count your decimal place values. That's supposed to be 7. 5 times 1 is 5 plus 2. So we got $10.75. Now we look at the question, how much change should he have from $20? So you got $20 and you subtract $10.75, you should end up with $9.25. So right away we can look at $10.75 is not how much change he should receive. Now the distributive property says we're going to multiply 5 times 2 and 5 times the change. $9.25. So that is going to help us eliminate our wrong answer choices, and the most correct answer is going to be C. Number 13, we're going to expand the exponents out. This means 3 to the power of 4, which means 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. So that's our first exponent. Then we go to the next one, 2 to the power of 3. 2 times 2 times 2. And now we can start the order of operations. Inside the parentheses, 5 minus 2 is going to be 3 minus 60. So we're done with the parentheses. We've expanded both of the exponents. Now let's go through and multiply. 3 times 3 is 9, times 3 is 27, times 3 is 81. 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 3 minus 60. So we're still on this step for multiplying and dividing. Got 81 minus 24 minus 60. We're done with all of the multiplying. Now our last step is we're going to go from left to right and subtract. 81 minus 24 is 57, and 57 minus 60 will give you your answer. Okay, number 14. Which one of these could not be used to represent the situation? So we take a look at above, we have 4 negatives, 2 positives, 4 negatives, 2 positives, 4 negatives, and 2 positives. That is something you can write down on your paper. So we have 1, 2, 3 groups of -4, 3 times -4, and then we have 1, 2, 3 groups of 3 groups of 2. So here we have -12 plus 6. Those are equivalent. But if you look at D, opposite pairs are going to subtract. So negative, positive, and you're left with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So which one is not equivalent? We do not have -4 times 2. We're done with the parentheses and the exponent. Now we're going to do multiplication and division from left to right. So we got 5 times 5 is 25, and 3 times 25 is going to be 75. All right, last step here. 75 divided by 5 is going to give us 15. And so the last step in order of operation is to add or subtract. So number 18, which expression is not equivalent? So we can expand out the exponent. So we got 2 times 2 times 2 times 5 times 7. 5 times 7 is 35. So that's going to be equivalent. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. So it looks like this is going to be equivalent. And then we got 2 times 2 times 2, and then 5 times 5. So we are missing some of the factors here as not being equivalent. So there's 2 ways to solve for number 19. So you could do a factor tree of 315, or you can do dividing by the factors given. We got 315 divided by 5. And that is going to give us 5 times 63. 5 is prime, 315 is composite, 63 is composite. So now we have 63. Oh, so we got 7 times 9 is 63. 7 is prime, 9 is composite. So we're saying which factor is missing? And the last one for number 20. Which two expressions are equivalent? So we got 9 times 6 plus x. I had some kids that were eliminating this answer choice right off the bat. Well, that's actually going to be our correct answer choice. So inside the group, 6 and x are both being multiplied by 9. So once we take them out of the group, they both get a 9. So 9 times 6 and 9 times x.